LeBron back to Miami?
I bet you do.
Huh? With Bobby P and Giannis?
Mm-hmm.
Hold on, let me text LeBron. Hold on, let me text LeBron.
Reports just confirmed that LeBron James could be heading back to Miami. Giannis Antetokounmpo's reaction caught people off guard, and what Bam Adebayo said afterward made things even more interesting. If you think you already understand what this means for the league, stick around, because what I'm about to walk you through reshapes everything we thought we knew about this offseason. The clues were sitting there in plain sight, and once you see what's actually taking shape in South Beach right now, you won't view this situation the same way again. Let's start with what actually went down, because the Miami Heat didn't just swing a trade, they sent a message that rattled the entire league. Pat Riley shipped out Tyler Herro, Jaime Jaquez Jr., Kel Ware, Kasparas Jakushonis, and a stack of future draft picks to the Milwaukee Bucks, multiple first-rounders, including an unprotected 2031 first, an unprotected 2033 first, a 2030 first-round swap, and a 2033 second-rounder. Years of roster building, depth, young talent, and future flexibility, all handed over in a single move. In return, Miami landed Giannis Antetokounmpo and Bobby Portis. The move was sudden, it was aggressive, it's the kind of swing only a franchise with a real championship track record, and a president who's pulled this off before, would even attempt. Pat Riley has built super teams in the past. He knows exactly what it takes, and he clearly decided this was the offseason to go all in, whatever the cost. But before the dust from that trade even settled, something bigger was already forming underneath it. Because Giannis Antetokounmpo isn't just a great player, he's a generational one. Even in an injury-shortened 2025-26 season, where he suited up for only 36 games, he still put up 27.6 points, 9.8 rebounds, and 5.4 assists a night. That's what Miami just brought through the door, and that's who they slotted in next to Bam Adebayo, who had just wrapped one of the most statistically jaw-dropping individual seasons any center has produced in years, including an 83-point outburst against the Washington Wizards in March, the second highest single-game scoring total in NBA history. Adebayo anchored Miami's defense, created out of the short roll, switched onto multiple positions, and ran the offense all in the same breath. Now these two share a front court in Miami. The moment that sank in, the internet didn't wait long to ask the obvious follow-up. If Miami already has Giannis and Bam, who else might be walking through that door? That's exactly when LeBron James entered the conversation, not just as a wild guess, but as a real possibility floated by someone who actually covers the team. Barry Jackson of the Miami Herald, one of the most plugged-in Heat reporters around, reported that the Heat could try to lure the soon-to-be free agent LeBron James back to South Beach using their full mid-level exception. Then came the four words that sent the entire basketball world into a frenzy: nothing can be ruled out. Coming from someone who covers this franchise daily, that wasn't a throwaway line, it was a signal, and fans treated it exactly that way. Then came the image that poured gasoline on the whole thing. Just a day after the trade broke, Giannis Antetokounmpo and Bam Adebayo were spotted courtside at Michelob Ultra Arena in Las Vegas, walking out of the tunnel side by side to watch a WNBA matchup between the New York Liberty and the Las Vegas Aces. Adebayo's girlfriend, reigning WNBA MVP A'ja Wilson, was on the floor for the Aces that night. Giannis showed up with his family, and there they were, Miami's new front-court pairing, already seen together in public before the trade had even been finalized on paper. The arena's scoreboard flashed a message introducing Giannis as a two-time NBA MVP and the newest member of the Miami Heat. Social media lost it. One fan posted that Heat games were about to get terrifying. Another said they couldn't wait to watch the two of them work together. And underneath all that excitement, the LeBron conversation kept getting louder by the minute, because people weren't just watching two stars hang out, they were watching the start of something, and everyone wanted to know how far it would go.
Now, to understand why the LeBron idea caught fire the way it did, you have to go back, way back, because this isn't just about fit on the court or contract numbers or cap space. This is a story that began more than 15 years ago and never really finished. It started on July 8, 2010, when LeBron James, the most physically gifted player on the planet, fresh from back-to-back league MVPs, sat down for a televised special and announced he was leaving Cleveland to take his talents to South Beach. He joined Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh to form what became known as the Big Three, three players taken first, fourth, and fifth overall in the 2003 draft, now united in one city under one mandate: win it all. The backlash was unlike anything the sport had seen. Jerseys were burned in the streets of Cleveland. Cavaliers owner Kevin Gilbert fired off a furious open letter to fans, blasting LeBron's exit in language so personal it read less like a business statement and more like a public betrayal. Former players and media figures piled on from every direction. Michael Jordan and Magic Johnson both criticized the move publicly. Almost overnight, LeBron went from beloved superstar to the most polarizing athlete in American sports. People who'd never followed basketball suddenly had strong opinions about him, and almost none of them were kind.
That first season in Miami carried enormous expectations and ended in what felt like a disaster. At the introductory rally, LeBron stood on stage and told the crowd they were going to win not one, not two, not three, not four, not five, not six, not seven championships, a line that's become one of the most replayed moments in modern basketball history. The Heat finished the regular season 58-24, but fell to the Dallas Mavericks in the NBA Finals. LeBron averaged just 17.8 points per game in that series, nearly 9 points below his regular season average, and his fourth-quarter performances became an endless topic of debate. The criticism was relentless. People questioned his mentality, his ability to deliver in the clutch, whether he had what it took when everyone was watching and it actually mattered. That summer marked the lowest point of his public career and one of the lowest stretches the franchise had gone through in years. But then something shifted. LeBron came back changed. He let go of the villain role he'd been handed and reconnected with why he loved the game in the first place. He worked on every part of his game that had been picked apart. He studied. He arrived for year two with a clarity and focus that completely transformed what this team could become. And what followed over the next 3 seasons stands as one of the most dominant stretches any player on any team has produced in the modern era of professional basketball. Miami went on a 27-game winning streak during. Brown followed that up with a simple response: state your source. That's something he's consistently challenged the media to do. If someone is going to make a major claim about him, he wants to know exactly where that information is coming from. Otherwise, a headline gets pushed out to millions of people, and before long, fans start treating speculation like it's established fact. Now, are media personalities suddenly going to start revealing all of their sources? Probably not. Protecting those relationships is part of the business, but I do think it's interesting that players who choose to represent themselves or handle things differently often seem to become the target of these kinds of narratives. Take Ja Morant, for example. Does he still have value around the league? Absolutely. If a team like Miami paired him with Giannis Antetokounmpo and Bam Adebayo, you'd have a dynamic point guard who constantly pressures the defense. Add a few reliable shooters around that core, and suddenly you've got the foundation of a legitimate contender. As for the claim that Jaylen Brown is only the 7th best option on a championship team, I just don't buy it. Statements like that make you wonder whether some analysts are watching the same games everyone else is. It feels like there's been a consistent effort to downplay Brown's accomplishments ever since he'd captured both the Eastern Conference Finals MVP and NBA Finals MVP awards. Then he was left off Team USA despite having a strong resume, while several of his Celtics teammates made the roster. Even early projections for the 2028 Olympic team haven't consistently included him, despite the level he's been playing at.
Personally, I think there were stretches last season where Brown deserved even more recognition. He had games where he looked like one of the best players in basketball. His performance against the Clippers, where he scored over 50 points while also taking on the challenge of defending Kawhi Leonard, showed exactly why he's considered one of the league's elite two-way players. Performances like that deserved much more attention than they received. That's why I don't always agree when media figures like Stephen A. Smith minimize what Jaylen Brown brings to the floor. There simply aren't many players in today's NBA who impact both offense and defense at the level Brown consistently does. Whether Brown remains in Boston or eventually ends up elsewhere, whichever team has him is getting one of the league's premier two-way stars. Teams like Charlotte have even been mentioned in speculation, and if a player like Brown joined a roster like that, he'd instantly raise their ceiling and make them far more competitive within their conference. It's also worth remembering Bobby Marks's background. Before becoming an analyst, he worked as an assistant general manager for the Brooklyn Nets. That front office made the blockbuster trade with Boston that ultimately became the draft picks used on Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. That's simply part of his NBA history and provides useful context when discussing his perspective. This entire discussion also made me think differently about Ja Morant's situation, especially after learning more about how involved he is in representing himself and working alongside his family. As for the bigger conversation around analytics, it's one that's not going away anytime soon. Analytics can absolutely be useful, but many believe they've become too influential in shaping how basketball is played. Critics argue that focusing almost entirely on three-point efficiency ignores important parts of the game, like attacking the rim, drawing fouls, creating defensive pressure, and simply reading what the defense is giving you. Whether you agree with Jaylen Brown or not, this debate is only going to continue. Plenty of NBA teams have already embraced analytics-driven philosophies. There have even been reports over the years that some organizations discouraged players from taking mid-range jumpers because the numbers didn't favor those shots. If you're interested, spend some time looking into how NBA analytics departments operate and how much influence they now have over roster decisions and playing style. Data has become a major part of today's game, and the discussion over how much influence it should have isn't